Welcome to part 3 of business tips and tweaks to help propel your voiceover career.
We're going to focus on agent stuff, auditions, and action items to help round out your VO biz.
This is for new, intermediate, or veteran talent who may need to fill in some gaps that they may have missed.
These are action items that you can implement right away to help you in your voiceover business. Challenge tweak number 1, emailing agents. Everybody loves talking about agents, so we've got to start off with them.
Not sure when you're watching this, but typically January can be one of the better times to get a response from an agent.
And that's because January is usually a slower time of the year, which means they have a bit more time to respond to non-urgent emails.
Plus, it's a time where many are culling their roster.
That said, it's a great time to check in with your current agent or agents and also reach out to potential agents.
We've got some tips for you, but if it's not close to January when you're watching this, you can still make notes and use it later.
July is also a good month for checking in if you're submitting, as many agents or agencies will go through their rosters and see who is working and who isn't.
Either way, these tips will serve you when you need them. If you're wanting to get on with an agent, reach out and follow this checklist to make sure that you have a strong email introduction.
Which begs the question, what makes a strong email introduction? Include your unique value in the subject line.
We'll use the talent from Atlanta, Jasmine, name change for privacy.
Her subject line was Atlanta-based, British, multi-accented, multilingual female voice talent.
The only thing I'd take out is Atlanta-based. Doesn't matter enough to an agent to take up real estate in your subject line.
And that's because they're used to talent being anywhere and everywhere nowadays.
Now, Jasmine can speak multiple languages, so what do you do if you don't speak another language? And it's okay if you don't.
You still have a unique value. Here's what matters to agents right now.
Broadcast quality home studio, natural, real sound. Younger voices are typically always needed as well.
Are you a Gen Zer? Put that in the subject, plus professional and personal talent.
As a Caucasian woman, it can feel pretty vanilla if I just focus on that, but what I do have is I'm good at creating and maintaining relationships. I'm dependable, hardworking, reliable, and I have a really good range.
Now, that might not grab people's attention right away, but eventually when it does, she usually has really long-term agents and clients.
What else should you do in the email?
Make the body brief.
Keep it short. If they can't read it in a minute, it's too long. As talent, we have to realize agents get tons of emails in their inbox every day.
If it looks like it might take 5 to 10 minutes to read and they still have 100 emails to get through, they're most likely going to push it to the side.
Make it personal. Having an agent is having a relationship. Start it off on the right foot. Let them know you're interested in creating that relationship.
Mention them by name, and if you've ever met them or attended an event which they've been a presenter, anything that helps you establish a rapport and stand out. But it has to be natural and genuine.
What to include in the email? Your demo, home studio details. A bonus would be including a 15-second sample of your home studio sound.
Yeah, record yourself saying something like, "Hi Will, just wanted you to get an idea of my home studio sound."
Also include your voice description. Expound on your unique value and memorable talent or background about you.
Keep it short, but if you've been a nurse for 10 years, share that.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that you can effortlessly say necrobiosis lipoitica.
Necrobiosis lipoitica.
Ooh, that was impressive.
Thank you very much. Necrobiosis lipoitica.
Those are a few suggestions for you when emailing agents, but here's another tip, and this has to do with systems.
She's all about the systems.
I love the systems.
I call them game plans.
Agent contact systems tip. We always keep a record of agents that we reached out to in a Google or Excel sheet.
So what do you put in there? We kept track of the agency, the contact name, the email, mailing address, website, date of when we first contacted them, and any notes that we could think of.
The benefit is that we could go back 6 months later and resend if they didn't respond. We could also add notes of, did a script workout with Jason via blank on this date.
Then, if they did respond and said, "Thank you, but we already have someone that sounds like you," we could make a note and then try and reach out in another year or so.
Because rosters change, so it's always okay to check back after a certain time period. Some agents actually let you know that time too.
Okay, now, your current agents. We feel like we have great ongoing relationships with our agents.
But we like to touch base once or twice a year and see if, one, if there's anything we can improve on, and two, update them if we're training in anything.
So here's a sample of an email Heidi sent this year.
Hi Jessica, so glad you're on the team now. How's everything going? Thank you for all you're doing. I know you've had to learn a lot and are trying new ways of sending out auditions. I just wanted to touch base with you and see if there's anything I can do to improve my auditions, technically or performance-wise. I want to make sure I'm the best representative of the agency that I can be. I also wanted to share that I've been taking singing lessons since the summer with Jan Smith Studios. She coach is Justin Bieber and Usher's coach. I trained classically growing up, so this is really helping me improve the pop jingle type auditions that I get. Hope your year is off to a great start.
Now, feel free to use that as a guide, but don't copy it straight up. Make it your own.
Be a real person, and remember that agents want talent who are partners with them.
The way we can be good partners is by continuing to enhance our value. Be professional, prompt, and just as much a support to them as they are to you and to us.
If you need further help, make sure to check out our Agent Rep Prep course at provoiceovertraining.com.
There, we go in depth from everything that we've learned and put into practice to help you figure out how to get agent representation. Challenge tweak number 2, gather data, aka observe and listen. I gotta admit, this is a fun challenge, and it's kind of like when you were back in high school, you got to have movie day. Yeah.
Wait, in high school you had movie day?
Oh, yeah.
I just had that in elementary school.
Denied.
Listening gives you the framework with which to bring your own unique voice. It's our way to gather data, or data, however you say it.
We can't be 100% sure what the client or casting director is looking for, but when we listen, it's like putting up gutter guards in bowling.
It helps to guide our choices, so take some time to observe and listen today.
First of all, think about the VO genre in which you really want to excel. What is it?
Commercial, animation, video games, e-learning, radio imaging, audiobooks, IVR, TTS, or text-to-speech.
Now spend 10 minutes watching or listening to different samples from each genre. Here are some questions to ask yourself when you do that.
Describe the talent's sound, their tone, pace, energy. How does this align with or enhance the message or the character?
What's the brand or genre or network or company?
Listen and watch another commercial or cartoon or video game and answer the 3 questions above and notice the differences or similarities.
The more you familiarize yourself with things, the more you'll notice the subtleties, and that is going to help inform you when you do your auditions. Challenge tweak number 3.
One of the most impactful things that I've done for my voiceover career is listen back to my auditions, way after the fact.
When you're recording your auditions or even class assignments, there's so much going through your mind.
The insights that you can glean from listening back with a clear mind is incredible.
Whether you're consistently auditioning or you haven't even started with your career and you've just started taking classes, you can still do this challenge.
Here's what to listen for. Number 1, does the first line grab you? I'm not talking about volume-wise. I mean, does it make you tune in, lean in?
If it doesn't, why do you think that is? Is it your grasp of the copy? Is it that you were just warming up on the first line?
Did there need to be more confidence? Try to identify this. That first line is so important. It's what makes clients or casting directors keep listening or skip it entirely.
2, does it sound like you're reading a script? Does it sound like you're reading a script? Or did you make the words come alive?
If we're doing our job, it should sound like we just came up with the script. It's our words.
We always said this in our classes, and even today with the other instructors. Know what you're saying and why you're saying it.
Yet so many talent just rip and read scripts. When it comes to the big leagues of VO, you must know what you're saying to even have a chance.
3, how's the volume and sound quality? In the beginning of my career, I set my levels to normal recording levels. At that time, people weren't listening on their phones.
But now times have changed. Now our auditions are often listened to on phones and laptops, not quality speakers. So if your levels are lower, then it'll be tough for someone to hear.
You don't want to sound really quiet, especially if you have a softer voice. Here's a story here. When I was in radio, there was another DJ who had a really soft voice. I would listen to him when I was in the car, and it was just really hard to hear him. So when I was back in the studio, I asked him where his levels were, and he said they were actually peeking into the red on the board that we had. But because his voice was so soft, unless you were in a quiet place, you had to strain to hear him. So don't be that talent. Pay attention to your levels.
Number 4, compare the script and audition breakdown. Was there an audition you really wanted but didn't book? Pull up the original script and audition breakdown, then listen back to your audition.
Can you hear any clues as to why you didn't book it?
Was it because your voice just wasn't the right fit? Or do you hear something else that could have prevented you from being a final pick?
Don't overanalyze this, but let it give you some insight.
There's been some spots that I really wanted. I listened back to my audition and then I listened to the final spot, and my audition was actually right in line with what they chose.
What that does is give you confidence that you are making the right choices.
There are also times when what they chose was much more confident or laid back or cut through the music more, etc. All of this is our intel, and it's vital to us as talent.
Challenge tweak number 4. Do you have a marketing plan? We're actually working on a business and marketing course to go on provoiceovertraining.com, and hopefully by the time you see this, it will be up.
Our plan is that it'll be number 1, buildable, simple steps from start to pro, and number 2, doable. We're both busy VO talent. What we share will take into consideration people who are trying to do this while working another job and people that are already working in VO.
And 3, understandable. Our goal is for this to be clarifying to you and not complicated.
That said, I typically use January to plan out my marketing strategy for the year.
But no matter the time of year, you can still start.
Based on where you are in your VO journey, here are some options for you. Number 1, order note cards.
You can do personalized note cards or just get the basic thank you or hello note cards.
Have them on hand to send to clients that book you, or agents or casting directors that you take a workshop from, or agents. For personalization, I love Vistaprint, very affordable, or Minted, not necessarily affordable, but really beautiful designs. Here's an example of what Mike's done.
2, update and create a client list. If you have a client list, is it updated? Have you connected with everyone on LinkedIn? If you don't have a client list, create one in Google Drive or wherever you like to do it. We have one for each year, and it's so helpful to keep track of everything, especially if you send notes or gifts like
Swag! And 3 is ordering swag. This is an added expense and you have to be really careful with it. Mike and I love to figure out really helpful, timely gifts that we can send to clients as a thank you.
Now, sometimes big corporations have policies about their staff accepting these, but overall, we've had such a great response from clients about the products that we send.
We'll give some more examples of what we've done and how we've utilized them in the marketing course at provoiceovertraining.com.
But until then, some places you can go. Vistaprint, they're a great and affordable option, and I actually just did a voiceover for them. We order our products through either Matchup Promotions or My Smart Shirt.
Oftentimes, it helps to have a representative help you figure out ideas for clients that you may not have thought of before. If that's an option, contact Jason at gomatchup.com or EC at mysmartshirt.com.
4.
Business cards. If you plan on attending anything in person this year, do you need to order more business cards?
Some say cards are out, but it could depend on where you're actually going, and Vistaprint and Minted are my favorites for these.
Of course. And if you need help designing the business card, Canva has some cool free templates.
Number 5, strategy. Marketing can feel overwhelming pretty quickly. We like to divide it up into a monthly or even a quarterly goal.
Maybe your goal is to reach out to one potential agent a month, or maybe it's to connect with one e-learning company on LinkedIn each month.
Figure out where you want to go, then create an actionable, doable goal to help you connect with the people in that area.
Doing this breaks it down into bite-sized chunks.
Number 6.
Branding. Every year we've been in voiceover, our brands become clearer. Why is that?
Because we learn more about ourselves. We have more data to back up what our most valuable assets to clients are, and we have a better sense of what our instrument, our voices, can do, and our range.
Take just 5 minutes to sit down and think through and write down what you've learned about yourself in the last few months or even year.
And if you work on any of these, like creating a business card, post it on your socials and tag us.
We'd love to see and share it.
And follow us on Instagram as well.
Challenge tweak number 5.
This one shouldn't take too long, and it's super easy. Go through this checklist and make sure everything is updated on your website.
If you come across items that could take longer than 10 to 20 minutes, just add it to another list to complete later.
There are so many things to do that this challenge isn't to make you feel overwhelmed, but accomplished, knowing that you've done something small each day.
Website checklist. Is your website having trouble loading? Check with your website hosting service, or you can check out this article.
Are all your links working and going where you want them to? We've had our fair share of checking lots of links between AtlantaVoiceOverStudio.com and ProVoiceOverTraining.com, even outside of HeidiRue.com and MikeStout.com.
Yeah, it is so simple, but sometimes links can become broken or the site that they're directed to is no longer available. So check these, plus any videos that you've shared to see if they're still available.
Website flow and design. Look at how your website is laid out with fresh eyes. Is it easy to navigate? Is it clear?
Is your contact information accessible? If you see a bunch of things that may take longer to fix, just add them to your VO action item list.
Photos. Are they current? Do they represent your voiceover brand?
Proofread website copy. I know this sounds too simple, but just double check everything.
And updates. Are there any updates that you need to make on the back end?
And that's it. It can be overwhelming, so as you take notes, work on one of these a day or a week. That way, you do it all in a bite-sized chunks.
Challenge
Tweak
number
6.
Do you have a voiceover resource list? What even is a voiceover resource list? What we mean is, who could help you in a bind?
Do you have a list of local studios where you could record in case there's construction outside your home? Do you go on vacation to the same place each year? If so, get together a list of local studios if you need to record on vacation.
Here are some other ideas of people to add to your resource list. 1. A website manager and hosting.
2. Accountant.
3. Internet provider.
4. Source Connect support.
5. A home studio expert like AVS's James Younger for any home studio issues.
6. Your power company.
7. Local recording studios. Add their talent rate as well for reference, just so you know.
The Atlanta Voiceover Studio actually has a talent rate, so if you're in the Atlanta area and you need a place to record, just get in touch with us at atlantavoiceoverstudio.com.
And that's a quick resource list that, once you have it, could help you when you're in a pickle.
Challenge tweak number 7.
Not a lot of people think about this one.
One of the things that Mike and I have done in our VO careers is to have a year's worth of expenses and savings.
Normally, advisors recommend 3 to 6 months, but the reason we keep more is for a couple reasons. One is that as voiceover talent, we never know what we'll make in a year.
And while we do have years of data to support a pretty knowledgeable estimate of what we can expect to make, you just never know what can happen.
And that goes both ways, positive
You never know what can happen.
and negative.
You never know what can happen.
So it's good to be prepared.
The second reason is that having a little buffer in the bank protects us from desperation or fear. We've both had seasons where we weren't booking as much.
It can cause a lot of fear and ultimately desperation. There's never been a whole year, though, that we've never not booked.
And we work hard to cultivate relationships so we know that we will work.
Right, and that gives us assurances that we'll most likely be okay no matter how our careers ebb and flow.
We have a really good friend, Glenn Zimmerman, who is a financial advisor.
He actually helped us navigate whether a home renovation was a wise move for us or not.
And we asked Glenn to share some advice regarding savings. We'll give our wrap-up takeaway after you hear what Glenn has to say.
Thanks, Heidi. Bank savings certainly isn't an exciting part of our finances, but it is vitally important. Having at least a few months of our key expenses set aside in a bank account gives us tremendous peace of mind. When a sudden major expense happens, we can take care of it without taking on more debt. One of the problems that the pandemic brought us was very low interest rates. You may be surprised that your bank savings right now earns probably close to zero. Fortunately, there are a few things you can do. First, shop around and make sure you're getting the best interest rate that you can on your bank savings. Often the larger internet banks tend to have the best rates. Currently, close to 0.5%, maybe a little more, is about the best rate that you're going to find. One strategy is to keep a checking account with a lower balance and then link it to an internet bank savings account that has a better yield. But what if you have excess bank savings well above the several months of key expenses limit? You may not want to invest those dollars in the volatility of the stock market. Well, here's a second idea to consider. As we know, right now inflation is very high. The cost of living over the past year has increased more than 8%. This is the biggest increase in almost 40 years. You may be able to use this to your advantage when it comes to your savings rate. The United States Treasury at treasurydirect.gov sells a certain U.S. savings bond called an I bond. The I stands for inflation. Every 6 months, the interest rate paid changes based on inflation. In May of this year, the new rate is set for 9.6% annualized for the next 6 months. Now, these I bonds are backed by the U.S. government. The interest rate potentially could be zero in the future, but the value of the bond can't ever be negative. So if you have some excess savings, adding some I bonds could be a great way to boost your average interest rate for money that you need to keep safe. The most important thing to keep in mind is that once you buy an I bond, you can't withdraw any of the funds for a full 1 year. After that, there is a small interest penalty if withdrawals occur before 5 years. You can buy up to $10,000 worth of I bonds per calendar year per person. Now, I bonds can't replace low yield checking accounts that we need every day for expenses in the next year, but this current yield of the I bond may be a great way to boost the interest rate on your excess bank savings.
Now, we're no financial advisor, but we'd say something you can do today for your voiceover business is to create a plan to build your savings.
Mint and You Need a Budget are great tools for this if you need help. We have a planned transfer every month for a certain amount to savings.
That way, we don't even have to think about it or miss it. If we book any jobs through like SAG-AFTRA or others that already take out taxes, we don't want it flowing through our corporations first.
Don't want to get taxed twice.
But we'll deposit those checks into our savings.
And the key with this is what we've been able to do. We just trained our minds and disciplined ourselves not to simply spend as soon as the money comes in, just outside of regular bills.
If you're in need of thinking through this type of thing, then contact Glenn or someone you know and begin listening or reading to help you out.
Clark Howard always has good information, as well as Dave Ramsey, and there's a
Plethora
of good info out there. So we hope that this has helped spark some great ideas.
We don't want to beat this dead horse, but it truly can help. Most everyone can save something, even if it's just $5 a week.
You'd be surprised how quickly this can add up if you do it regularly. Then increase it when you can. It's called delayed gratification, and it's typically not taught, and we have to learn it ourselves. But to me, there's actually no downside. It only benefits you.
Challenge tweak number 8.
If you've been around us for any amount of time, you've probably heard us talk about the truly hard part of voiceover, the mental fortitude.
With the rejection, the lack of feedback, the independent nature of it, and the many hats that you have to wear, you know, the things that may make you feel like you're lacking, like not knowing how to market, do accounting, stuff like that, it all can begin to take its toll.
Yeah, I asked my counselor, therapist, business advisor, Dr. Wendy Dickinson, to share practical things that we can do to support our mental fortitude. And we also added how that relates to us as talent.
So what can we do about it?
Things we'd categorize as self-care help to combat those stressors and bring us back into the green zone. Here are a few easy things that you can do each day that will help significantly. 1, take a break from your phone.
What?
What are you looking for?
There's a mirror in here somewhere that I'd like for you to look into.
Oh my gosh. Do you want me to make your favorite birthday cake?
I'm a good boy.
Okay, that's what I thought. So turn off your phone or put it in another room for at least 30 minutes and maybe work up to an hour or two.
I joke with her, but it's tough for me. And it's tough as voice talent because being easy to access is a huge value to clients and agents. We recommend finding a time when you're more likely not to have a client needing something.
For me, the morning time is my sacred time, which leads to number 2.
Go outside. Get out. Go.
Take a walk or just sit in the sunshine. It's super helpful and important to get some vitamin D as a break from sitting in the booth or closet.
Get some exercise, and it doesn't have to be CrossFit level of exercise either.
Research shows that for some people, a brisk walk 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week can be as effective as combating depression with an antidepressant.
Number 4, connect.
Find a few people in your support system with whom you can share honestly. One of the instructors at our Atlanta voiceover studio has a voiceover accountability group every Friday night.
Find people who make you laugh and where you can just be yourself. And if you're close to Atlanta
and you're on our email newsletter, you'll be able to find out when our next off-mic night social will be, and we'd love to meet you.
And if you're an introvert, I am too, so come find me. 5. Find a counselor or therapist or life coach. Now more than ever, it's important that we're being as diligent with our mental health and our mental health care as we do our physical well-being. Find someone who can support you in that journey.
That last one is huge for us. We've been in counseling for a while now.
Since 1930, it seems.
And it helps us with our marriage, our VO careers, and the Atlanta voiceover studio, and more,
It's
really.
well worth taking some money and investing in yourself in this way if you're able. And now with so many virtual options, it's easier than ever to access.
Dr. Wendy owns Grow Counseling, and there are many other counselors available there if you want to check them out.
So how to put this into practice throughout the year? Make a plan today.
Make it realistic with what you can do. Can you only fit in a 15-minute walk each day? Great.
Make that your time to get some sun, exercise, and put away your phone. Still have it with you in case of emergency, but don't check it or even listen to anything. Be present.
Schedule some time this weekend for coffee or drink with a friend and look into the possibility of a counselor. Can you only swing it once a month or once every other month? That's fine.
Find those habits that you can realistically create to maintain your mental health throughout the year.
Ain't no shame when you're in the wellness game. Challenge tweak number 9.
One of my favorite Maya Angelou quotes is, "When we learn, teach, when you get, give." It's one of the greatest paradoxes that when we give, oftentimes we receive far more.
We're not just talking about monetarily, but there's a strange and wonderful freedom that comes from it.
I went through a really tough time when I first left the radio station, and I really struggled constantly criticizing my appearance. Every on-camera audition I didn't get, I immediately thought it was because of something about how I looked. It began to really eat away at my soul. So I decided to sign up for a mentor program through my church. And I met my mentee when she was in second grade. She just turned 14 and we still meet together. And the lessons that I've learned through her are probably greater than what I've ever given her. One of the very first times that we met, she looked up at me and said,
You have the most beautiful curly hair.
and that was actually one of my hang-ups about my appearance. Her compliment had a huge impact on me and even inspired me to embrace my curls more.
In this industry, it can be mentally tough. The rejection, the lack of feedback, it's all hard. When those things happen, our natural response is just to turn inward.
And we start focusing on ourselves a lot.
Yeah. Giving has this weird way of centering us and turning that focus outward.
Now, you don't have to mentor. There are other ways to give. And here are actually some really simple things that you can do today.
If you do one or some of these, share what you do on social and tag us. Your idea may help inspire us or someone else.
Number 1, write a note of encouragement to a friend, a neighbor, the clerk at your favorite grocery store, a fellow VO talent. Write them a handwritten note or email.
Number 2, volunteer to read at your local library, elementary school, or something similar where you are if you're not in Georgia, the Georgia Radio Reading Service.
Number 3, help a neighbor in need. Do you have older neighbors who just need some extra care? Shovel snow off their driveway. Hard to do here in Atlanta, but you could also mow their lawn.
Drag their trash cans out and back for them, especially if they're older.
Bake them something, leave them a gift card, or whatever may help them. Side benefit, this could also help make a Goodwill deposit when they decide to blow leaves in the middle of your VO session. Just saying.
4, volunteer virtually. Yep, you don't even have to leave the house. Here's a list of virtual opportunities. Or volunteer at some other place close to you and your heart.
Number 5, sign up to shop through Amazon Smile. Mike and I do this, and it's really great because every purchase we make on Amazon,
And between what we have to buy with the studio and for our other businesses, it kind of adds up.
Yep, and for us, a portion goes to either Serve International or my parents' nonprofit kids camp. You can choose where you'd like yours to go.
6, offer your VO services to your favorite charity. Do you have a charity or nonprofit you love?
Email them and let them know you're a voice talent. Attach your demo and let them know that if they ever have a VO job come up, you'd love to offer your services free of charge.
And that concludes part 3 of business tips and tweaks to help propel your voiceover career. And we leave you with this quote from Brené Brown: "There is no innovation and creativity without failure, period."
You're in a creative field. Keep learning and growing. And if you haven't seen parts 1 and 2, make sure you go back and check them out.
If you put everything that we talked about in each video in motion, it'll help get your voiceover business on track.
If you like this, please hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We hope this helps spark some inspiration for your voiceover business. These are the types of things that we don't usually think about.
Until we do. And then we jot it down to remind us. So there's no better time like the present. Just knock it all out now.
If you ever have any questions, you can always reach us at atlantavoiceoverstudio.com or provoiceovertraining.com.
If you sign up for our newsletter, bottom of atlantavoiceoverstudio.com, comes out each Monday and always includes useful tips to help your voiceover career. We also have podcasts on Apple or wherever you like to go to listen, as well as other videos up here on this channel that are a free resource to help you learn and grow.
We'll see you next time. If you're relatively new to voiceover and know about genres and what's available, but want to begin learning the foundations and foundational techniques of voiceover, like learning how to use your instrument, your voice, then head over to provoiceovertraining.com and click on the Beginner VO Intensive course.
Yeah, you can take that class there on demand in video form, and then we have links in there where you can schedule time with a private coach to practice and make sure you're doing everything correctly.
Or if in person or live via Zoom is more your speed, where you can ask questions, head to atlantavoiceoverstudio.com and look for the Beginner VO Intensive under classes in the menu bar.
These tend to sell out really fast because it's such an awesome class, and we cover so much in 3 months. So look at the website and see which night works for you.
Thanks so much for watching, and keep checking back for more videos to help you in your voiceover journey.